This is Carolina Ghost Towns, a podcast about the vanished towns and lost communities in South Carolina, North Carolina, and maybe a few other places. I'm your host, Tom Taylor. So, how does one go about finding a ghost town? I get this question quite a bit, so I thought I'd do an episode on the techniques that I use. Today's episode is going to be a bit different. I'm not going to be talking about a specific town, but about resources I use to find these towns and some of the research techniques I also use. I'm going to start with some obvious suggestions, then move to some not-so-obvious techniques. Finally, I'll talk a little bit about how I research these towns. Now, I'm going to be describing lots of online resources. The show notes are going to be chock full of links, so be sure to check those out. First, it helps to know what a ghost town is. I've said it before, southern ghost towns are different from the classic western ghost towns. These could be covered in vegetation, subsumed by other towns, or just completely gone. The Department of the Interior uses the following classification systems for ghost towns. Class A, a barren site. Class B, rubble and/or roofless buildings remain. Class C, standing abandoned buildings with no population. Class D, semi-near abandoned towns with small populations. Class E, busy historic community. Class F, restored town or state park with a historical old town. Class G, absorbed into a neighboring city. Class H, no original buildings remaining on site. My experience is that most ghost towns are Class D, not quite abandoned, but still with a little population. Or they're Class G, absorbed into a neighboring city. But there are other classes that can be found in the Carolinas. If you want to find a town, start with the obvious. There are lots of well-known sites in the Carolinas, and finding these is easy. Using your favorite search engine, just search the term ghost town, plus your target state. Wikipedia even has a list of ghost towns for each state. These are usually woefully incomplete, but it's a start. With all of the new AI features, you can probably generate a decent starter list. There are a few other websites that specifically list ghost towns. These should show up in search engine results as well. Most of the ones I found are very much old-school websites that haven't been updated in ages. Next, check social media. If you're on Facebook, there are lots of groups for abandoned this or abandoned that, and many of these are region-specific. As you might imagine, some of these are hit or miss. Sometimes folks just post a photograph of a leaning old building with no actual town. Sometimes they don't identify the location, and I'm okay with that. Some of these sites are endangered and might be loved to death by the inquisitive, if not outright damaged by vandals. I've been a map geek for as long as I can remember. I collected National Geographic maps, and any time we stopped at a gas station, I snagged a state highway map, back then when those were given out for free. These days, online maps work just as well, There are some excellent historic maps and map collections available. My favorite, and the one I reference most often on this show, is Robert Mills' 1825 Atlas of South Carolina. So far, I've not found any collection as thorough for any other state. At the time the atlas was created, South Carolina had districts instead of counties, and there's a map for each district showing towns, taverns, stores, churches, and other significant landmarks. It's amazing. The entire collection is available on the David Rumsey Map Collection. I'll be sure to post a link in the show notes. The Rumsey Collection hosts maps for other states, as well as different types of maps for South Carolina. There are old railroad and highway maps dating from the early 1800s through the 20th century. These historic maps are great for showing changes over time. When browsing these maps, I look for place names I've never heard of. Sometimes, these turn out to be lost towns or communities, and I'll add those to my list for further exploration. The U.S. Geological Survey has published topographic maps since the late 1800s. ArcGIS has a website where you can explore historic USGS maps from anywhere in the U.S. You can search for a location, such as a county or a town, and click on that location to see what historic maps are available. The website then shows the topographic map on top of a present-day map. There's a fader that you can use to show comparison between today and yesterday. These old maps not only help you find ghost towns, but they can help see how prominent a town or a community was during a particular time frame. Another resource that helps determine what was in a town is the Sanborn Insurance Map Collection. These are highly detailed maps of cities and towns from across the United States. Created in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, these maps allowed fire insurance companies to assess their liability. For researchers like myself, it lets us see what might have been in a town. There are other excellent collections of maps online. South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia all have digital archives that include maps. The Library of Congress is another great source for historic maps. The U.S. Geological Survey maintains a database called the Geographic Names Information Service, or GNIS, or just GeoNames for short. The database includes all the names for all geographic features imaginable, from hills to rivers to islands to, well, just about anything. Up until 2014, the database included man-made features such as schools, churches, bridges, and other structures. Those structural features are more volatile and subject to change than the geographic features, so they were eliminated in 2014. As an aside, I managed to download quite a bit of the pre-2014 data, so I still have most of the structural data for at least our region. I've got it in a spreadsheet, and I'll share that in the show notes. If a feature in the GeoNames database is no longer extant, it remains in the database, but it has the designation historical added to it. The current database includes towns and populated places. If a town or a populated place has that historical designation, it might be a good bet that it's a ghost town. GeoNames includes latitude and longitude coordinates so that you can pinpoint it on a map or in Google Earth. Speaking of which, Google Earth is great for seeing present details for the site, whether from overhead views or through Street View. Once you've found a potential ghost town, you're going to want to find out more about it. Google, or whatever your favorite search engine might be, is your friend. It will let you know if anyone else has written about that town. Dig past the first few pages of hits, and you might find historical surveys or archaeology reports about the site. If your site has a common name, you'll get more hits than you want, and you'll need to narrow the search parameters. Include the state name, or better yet, the state and county name. If there's a nearby geographic feature, such as a hill, mountain, or stream, include that in your search term. Many states have digital clearinghouses for online archives. For example, the SC Memory website lets users search participating organizations through a single portal, which includes universities, libraries, and historical societies throughout the state. The Library of Congress is another great searchable database. One of my favorite resources is newspapers.com. It's subscription-based, but sometimes you can get free access through local libraries. I'll search the town name and order the results from oldest to newest so that I can find the earliest mention of the town. Early news reports and advertisements provide insight into the life and commerce of the town. Use more than just the name of the ghost town for your searches. Sometimes there are variations in spelling, and you may have to search several common spellings for that site, and not just the official one. Use nearby features such as valleys or rivers as search terms. If you find the name of a prominent individual, merchant, or institution, such as a school or a church, then search on those as well. If you really get ambitious, there are these things called books that might provide some insight. Not everything is online. I regularly haunt the South Carolina room of the Greenville County Library. Finally, there's nothing like a bit of ground truthing. Wherever possible, I try to visit the site. And sometimes that's just not possible. The site is on private property or sometimes even underwater. If you're lucky, you'll find some old buildings and ruins. More likely, there won't be anything there but the name and maybe a historical marker. Sometimes churches and especially cemeteries long outlive the town. These are definitely worth a visit. If you go, treat these places with respect. Don't trespass and don't disturb fragile structures. Document. Take nothing but notes and photographs. By all means, just spend a few moments and try to absorb the history all around you. That's it for this week's Carolina Ghost Towns. Next time, I'll get back to exploring an actual ghost town. Thanks for listening.
this southern ghost town, we found a story untold. In the shadows of the past, we unravel, secrets unfold. With each step we take, we journey back in time. In this southern ghost town, we leave our footprints behind.
Thanks for listening. The opening music was composed by Lex FM with additional music from Pixabay. The song Southern Ghost Town was generated by Suno AI. All other music was composed and recorded by me, Tom Taylor. Carolina Ghost Towns is a part of the Random Connections empire. It's pretty much a one-man show, so I wear all the hats, including producer, writer, researcher, sound engineer, publicist, and bartender. If you like the show, please subscribe on your favorite pod venue and be sure to give us feedback. If you have questions, comments, or ideas for the show, you can reach me at carolinaghosttownspod@gmail.com. For more information and show notes, visit randomconnections.com. Thank you.
In this southern ghost town, we found a story untold. In the shadows of the past, we unravel, secrets unfold. With each step we take, we journey back in time. In this southern ghost town, we leave our footprints behind.